On this episode of Travels with Bill, we're checking out gardens. We're in Seven Sisters, Manitoba, at Distinctive Grooming. Now, this garden is right along the main drag, and if you're a long-time watcher of the channel, you know we spent a whole week filming in the Whiteshell area in the summer of 2021. Well, we saw a couple really cool gardens that you would probably want to stop and look at, but maybe you wouldn't be brave enough to just walk on through. Well, I'm certainly brave enough to walk on through. Now, I did ask permission so the folks know I was here filming, and in fact, they've been looking forward to seeing their gardens on the internet because they did such a great job. Now, we're filming in August, so the flowers aren't necessarily all as perfect as they would have been maybe in late June and early July, but it still looks amazing. In fact, both of them said to me, "Oh, you should have come sooner," but really the gardens looked great the day we were there, and if they looked better before this, well, they were just even better, weren't they? See that purple bench? That is so cool. Now, this garden is right beside the Esso, so if you're stopping at the Esso, maybe for some gas or some snacks or really any of the stuff they offer, you'll get a chance to peek at the garden up close. Of course, if you need your dog groomed, I suppose that would be a good reason to come see the garden as well. Check out these stone guys. See how they're like little birds? Geese or loons, I suppose, but they're made with a rock and then just some metal on them. There goes the turtle too. I think they just look so cool, and they're really simple. I don't know if I could figure out how to make one, but I like to think, oh, I could put that together in an afternoon and make some of them for my garden too. It would be pretty cool. You know, some of the best gardens that we're showing today, at least, don't just have flowers. They've got things like this in them, little details that make the garden extra special, amazing. One of the best parts of touring other people's gardens is, of course, getting ideas for your own. So maybe you'll see something here that you want to replicate at home. But don't worry about stealing the idea, because after all, copying an idea is the sincerest form of flattery, isn't it? Showing that they did just the perfect thing. Hey, that's a cool little Inukshuk there, isn't it? Now that rabbit, that looks like something off the shelf, but it fits in well to the garden. I love the trees here. Don't they make it look just extra special? They're all nicely trimmed and looking beautiful. Well, you can see the Esso in the background there, so you know exactly where we are. In a minute here, we're going to come around the house as well, so you can see what's going up the wall of it, because it's pretty cool. You know, we are in Seven Sisters. We have some other videos about Seven Sisters and the Whiteshell. Check them out, but also check the area out. When you get an opportunity, come to this part of Manitoba, because you'll see things like this in person. And as great as seeing it on the show is, well, it's even better if you're there yourself, right? We were here camping for a week, so we certainly checked out a bunch of the resorts while we were here. Seven Sisters is one of the main towns you'd come back to. If you were at a resort and needed to go shopping, you'd come into town, hit up one of the grocery stores, maybe get some supplies at the Esso we see in the background there, and then you'd carry on back to where you were camping. Obviously, the campgrounds themselves, they have resorts and they have some supplies too, but if you kind of got that travel itch, coming to Seven Sisters will probably scratch it. You don't have to go all the way back to Winnipeg. Obviously, Seven Sisters also home to the Hydro Dam. We have a whole video on that. It's just down the road from here. In fact, this Esso is where that railway track, I kind of think, used to go to get to the dam. We'll check out the creepers on the house. That looks so cool. And then we're going to head on over to garden number 2. What did it for me about garden number 2 that made it be a must stop for me on the journey was going by and seeing these little vehicles out front. Isn't that cool? Now, those are the kids' ride-on toys, but they've kind of got them set up right along the road. If you go through Seven Sisters, past the garden we were just at, you end up here. And well, you can already see why I stopped. In fact, Uncle Mark from Uncle Mark's DIY Auto would be proud. That guy seems to be crawling under the Jeep and doing a little repairs to make sure it can get off that rock. Well, the garden is amazing. Now, I did promise the folks I'd mention the houses for sale. So if you're looking for a house in the Whiteshell area with a huge garden, well, this might be the house for you. Check with the real estate folks to see if it's still available, or just call that number you saw on the sign there, and I'm sure they'll let you know. The garden's amazing. It's got a little bit of everything. I talked to the lady and the gentleman that look after this, and they both love gardening. Not just flowers either. We're going to show you some of the vegetable plants as well. You probably recognize the little tomato bush there at the lane. Here's a motorcycle. When you drive by, you'll see this. It's on the north side of the road, and it's impossible to miss the decorations as you travel on through. Now, there's an extra special surprise, and maybe you figured it out already. See in the background there? I'm going to show you the grapes they're growing. And if you thought you couldn't grow grapes in Manitoba, you are completely wrong, because these folks make growing grapes look incredibly easy. Now, certainly if you're going touring gardens, they have things like garden walks. I've seen those in a lot of communities where they have a set day where, you can go out and look at the gardens. Probably best to stick to that because obviously we're here just kind of wandering around. But we had to go in and say hi to them and ask permission to do that. And they probably don't want a bunch of people coming over. So stick to the video. Check out the birdhouse though. Isn't that so cool? It's not just a house. That's a bird apartment building way up high in the post to make sure Mr. Kitty Cat can't possibly get to it. And here's some more of that character in the garden. They've got little Canada Goose there. Now the lady said, why didn't you come earlier when all of these things were blooming nicer? And I admit, we are here kind of late, but that's when we were in the White Shell area, and it still looks amazing. See that nice pink birdhouse over there? Pretty cool. They've got some other ones as well. This garden has so much on the go, and of course, if you're worried about the bees and such, lots of flowers, so they have something to do. There's a little mailbox up at the top there. Of course, a rain gauge. Any true gardener would have a rain gauge, a rain barrel as well, so they have some water for watering. And there is a big vegetable area that we're going to see yet, but so much of it's these neat flowers, and not just flowers for the sake of flowers, but flowers with the cream cans, flowers set up in different arrangements, and that to me is what added the character. That's what got us to stop here. Was it simply the character of the garden itself, because they've put so much into it to make it seem extra special, amazing. Now, maybe you don't know, but I kind of like gardening in my spare time too. My garden maybe doesn't look as good as this. I share it with my mother, and we certainly do a lot of gardening, but more into the vegetables and such. So we plant a lot of potatoes, we have some peas, cucumbers, of course. What we don't have is grapes. Check this out. It's not one or two grapes. These vines are loaded with grapes, some of them already changing color here in the late summer of 2021. These are amazing. I just can't get over how good the grapes are doing here in the White Shell, and they look so neat. You could think for a moment that we're in France enjoying a trip through a winery, couldn't you? Well, no, we're in Manitoba and the grapes are growing strong. Now, if you're enjoying the garden video, we'd certainly like to hear about it. Why don't you leave a comment down below telling us what your favorite part of these gardens is? Make sure to click that thumbs up button as well, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. We're planning out really busy what we're doing for the next summer. Of course, it's winter right now, but summer will come soon. What would you like to see? Well, if it's more gardens, you need to let us know, because certainly we could show you an awful lot of gardens around Manitoba and Canada. They're pretty cool. We're at the doorstep now. Lots of flowers there, but not just the flowers was I was interested. It's what's up on the doorstep that's so incredibly cool. See it? The pig. Oh, that is cool. They've got a pig, just leads you right on into the house. I did promise you some vegetables as well. There's a sunflower going strong, but look at all of the tomato plants. I see some dill there in the background, a huge dill patch. Well, I hope they have enough dill to go with all the cucumbers, because then they can make some nice dill pickles, right? Tomatoes still blooming here in late August, although certainly there was some fruit setting already, and some of the tomatoes looked like maybe they were almost ready to eat. Some potatoes in the background here as well, so clearly we're in the more vegetable area of the garden. But it looks good too, and we're not very far from the flowers. In fact, the flowers are kind of worked in all around here too, and as we pan back, you can kind of see across the garden how we have the vegetables, then we have the flowers. Of course, the decorations out in front of the road. There's Mr. Chicken for you. I guess he's really a rooster. Somebody hiding there. Oh, isn't that cool? You just peek in and see somebody hiding. It's like one of those magical gardens. In fact, we have a video from the Roblin area about the Enchanted Forest. This is like the Enchanted Garden. Worth checking that one out, though, if you want to see how you can sneak things into trees and make it look just amazing. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed spending a little time in a couple gardens, and again, we were just out traveling here and saw them and we had to stop, but there's much more. If you're interested in the White Shell, oh, look at the tomatoes. Those ones are just about ready. I bet you could pick that one and he'd turn red in a couple days, or leave him on the vine and he'd taste even better. Well, make sure you do hit the subscribe button and check out all the other White Shell videos, plus the videos on Travels with Bill from around Manitoba and Canada, as we travel and show you some of the coolest things you may not have noticed, or you simply haven't been here yet to see. One more look at the garden from the road as we take a peek at just everything they have. And remember, house for sale. So if you're looking for an amazing house and a garden that's, well, famous, this may be the one for you. Farewell for now on Travels with Bill from just outside Seven Sisters in the White Shell area of Manitoba.